He's grabbed, and he's going to be sacked.
What is going on, Broncos country? It is your friendly neighborhood horsepower hour. I'm joined here by my friends Jeremy, Sean, Mark of Marcky Sports, and of course, Kodiak, the Kodiak Broncos. Guys, get in the chat, get in the discussion, smash that like and subscribe to all of my friends. And now's the time for us to, fix the Broncos. How we salvage this offseason, guys. I mean, it's crazy to think about that nothing has changed with this team since we met last Monday. It's insane. So I guess a good icebreaker before we get into telling Sean Payton and George Payton how to do their job, let's start on the positive side. There were a lot of re-signings. Let's talk about our favorite one of them. Let's start with you, Kodiak.
All right. Well, a lot of people do not like the money that we gave to this certain player, but I am more than happy that J.K. Dobbins is back in the orange and blue, okay? The reason I'm really happy that he's back in the orange and blue is because he showed so much passion for being a member of the Denver Broncos this past year. And I know that you can't just rely upon that, but we got so lucky with what he provided us with. And I feel like, hey, it's a good incentive-based contract that is going to potentially reward what kind of output he does have. Because honestly, he says he's one of the game's premier running backs when he's healthy. And you know what? The stats back it up and his play backed it up. For the money is an entirely different story. But am I happy he's back? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm happy J.K. Dobbins is back.
Mm-hmm. And there was word that another team was in on J.K. Dobbins that could have driven up the price a little bit, up to that $8 million guaranteed number. Do you guys have any theories on like who that team was?
Jaguars.
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the Jags could make sense. I just don't believe any of that. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't. That seemed like it was reported to try to make them feel better or something for the overpay. But I mean, backs don't get paid in general. I don't think the NFL all of a sudden got like really, really hot on J.K. Dobbins after another injury-riddled season when nobody wanted him last year. So I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah,
but the Jags would make sense.
I don't think it's value 4x, but they did get Rodriguez from Commanders, right?
Yeah.
So like it makes sense when they lost ETN that they would potentially be in the market for that.
Yeah.
Where did Rashad White go?
Commanders.
Wow.
The Commanders got a lot of players.
Yeah, they've had a good offseason. Okay, yeah. J.K. Dobbins. Well said, Kodiak. Mark, which player would you go with?
I can't even believe we're having this convo. This is crazy, huh?
I know.
To try to make it on him. Yeah, it's wild. I'm going to stick with it. I was kind of thinking about this earlier, ironically, and I think my favorite signing was still Alex Polcheski, just because he's someone that is he's so valuable, man. Like, to have a offensive lineman on the team that can just be plug and play on basically any position on the offensive line is so valuable. So it was nice that, I know that he was restricted, a free agent, but it was nice that we got him on a 2-year deal. I think he's going to be one of the best values, and just happy that we got somebody like him. It didn't ultimately lead to what I was hoping to in terms of like maybe freeing up more cap space or moving on from Ben Powers, which now I'd say is a really, really good move. But give me the Palcho signing, man. I like that one.
Well said. Jeremy?
Yeah, I was going to go either Palcho or, if we're counting this, do we count Jaquan McMillan tendering him and then
I'll leave that up to you.
Okay, well, if we're going to do that, then that's got to be number one, right?
Yeah.
Just because he was like by far and away like the most clutch, valuable, big play guy on our defense last year. So making sure he comes back is, huge, especially if you want the idea to have Barron go outside, then yeah, you need Jaquan inside. So I would say that would be mine for sure.
Good. Oh man, where do I go? Lucas Kroll, Adam Troutman, Jaleel McLaughlin.
So many good picks.
Oh, you're starting at the bottom of the list? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, there's
Started at the
Tyler
bottom here.
Bidet, Lil Jordan Humphrey. Man, where do I go? I guess I'll go with my favorite one is Justin Sternad.
Yeah,
because if we're gonna make it such a big deal to be out there to call the right defense, to get all these guys in the right position, if we're going to make this the most important thing you do as a linebacker, even over your actual play on the field, then you better have a guy that can call the defense if Alex Singleton goes down. And you got Justin Sternad. He's improved, every single year, definitely over the last couple of years. Maybe he's in for his best year yet, and that would be fantastic. So I like that deal. I like that it's a 2-year deal. And I think $6 million for I think a good starting linebacker, right? I mean, you'll take that. So I think he's a good player, not a great player, but I think he's one of the guys that we brought back that's on a fair contract, and can't say that about some of these other guys. So Now Ron says I 100% agree with Kodiak. JK is on a team that is one of the healthiest teams in the league, and possibly this could help JK. Then how do you feel if he finishes the season? How do you feel if he finishes the season, Kodiak?
Good, because that's something he's never done before. But no, like I would feel as much good as I would be surprised. Like I think it'd be one of those things that I don't know if he's talking about this past year, but if he finished the entirety of 2026, I think we'd all be sitting there like we wouldn't realize it right away. But first, second week of the offseason, we'd be like, dang, J.K. Dobbins played J.K. Dobbins finished the season. Wow. Because I still, even with that contract, I still don't expect to get 17 out of J.K. just because that's not the guy he's ever been. But yeah. How do I feel? Good. If he finishes the season.
Well, let's get into a more interesting part or a more interesting question. I think Broncos Country's had a lot of fun interacting with us over this past week. Mark, you had a great video. What did you put it out? Was it earlier today or yesterday? About how, this offseason, it just sucks, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's a disaster. But let's talk about, before we get into fixing this offseason for our Broncos, let's get into our most hated signings. We got a lot of guys brought back. We're going to start off with Jeremy and work our way around. Who is your most hated re-signing right now on our Denver Broncos?
Oh, there's just so many to choose from.
I was going to say, Jeremy, you had the look on your face of like, you look like you wanted to puke.
Yeah, well,
I was like, is he doing all right?
As we re-sign people, that's how I felt. No, I would say there's worse. Like you could debate either one of the tight ends, Lucas Kroll or Adam Troutman. Honestly, Adam Troutman's a better football player than Lucas Kroll, but I'm going to say Adam Troutman just because it felt like that one meant other things weren't going to happen. And that was what was disappointing about that one. Like there was the Bellingers, there was like the Likeleys, there was some guys out there that were like, oh man, maybe we'll go for this guy. Maybe we'll go for this guy. And as soon as the Troutman news hit, you're like, nope, we're not going to do that. Kroll is kind of like a throw in. And it's like, well, he's been on the team. We'll see what he's got. He'll come in and compete. That's not like one of those signings that I'm like worried about. Like, oh, they're going to like not draft somebody because of Lucas Kroll. No, that's probably not going to happen. No offense to Lucas Kroll, but it was the Troutman one that really was like, damn it. Because it was too much money too, in my opinion. And then his like statement about how he's all around tight end, that made me want to puke as well. Honestly, just like, okay, don't talk about it, be about it, Adam. Let's go, dude. Come on. So yeah, that was the one. That one bugged me the most, I think.
I'm telling you, if that was Jerry Jeudy making those comments, after an overblown contract or an overpriced contract, dude, like Denver media would be talking about him on the radio all day long. But for some reason, Adam Troutman gets the good guy label so he can go out there and put out insane things through Chris Thomason. They were just insane things to say. It was propaganda. It's not even true. I was kind of disappointed that wasn't talked about a little bit more. And I kind of lost respect for Adam Troutman. I'm calling him Adam Trashman now until he earns my respect. So,
well, Trout does smell like trash. So
Yeah.
He plays like it too.
yeah.
it is true. All right. So we got one vote for Adam Troutman. Mark, who are you going with?
Yeah, if I could pick the same one, I mean, it's the easiest. It's going to go down as one of the worst signings ever, in my opinion, just because of not just the contract and all that, the repercussions that came from it. It's the Adam Troutman signing. It was horrible. It came at a terrible time. Didn't even allow for us to really. We only got to be excited for free agency starting for like a little bit, and then we kind of knew like we might not do all that much because it happened the day before the illegal tamperings. So yeah, it's easily the Adam Troutman. He was overpaid prior, and he wasn't even getting paid that much, and now he's getting way more money. He can't block, he can't catch. And what bothered me a lot too, Jeremy, obviously the comments that he made was like just nauseating. But what really pisses me off is, they're always talking about how he's been such a good mentor and good locker room guy. And, and they particularly said he was such a good mentor and someone that he took Lucas Kroll under his wing and was such a good mentor to him. And like, dude, let's probably not say that, you know what I mean? Because that just proves exactly why he's maybe not a good mentor, because Lucas Kroll, like at one point was flashing and then started to get really close to Troutman. And he's like, oh, nope, just completely forgot how to play football. So that one really bothered me too. It's like, it's not a selling point at all to say that he's a mentor. So yeah, easily for me, Adam Troutman.
I feel like this contract, I don't know if you guys can relate it to an Avs signing, but if I'm trying to relate it to a Nuggets signing, it's just going to be a thorn in your side, like Zeke Naji. Zeke Naji's kept you from making moves. Adam Troutman, again, you're not signing your tight end 3 to a 3-year contract, $18 million. You just right then capped what you're able to do just putting tight ends out there with what you're paying him, man. And it's going to be a thorn in our side this year.
Yep. Yeah,
Well
Zeke Naji. I think the Zeke Naji contract is a perfect comparison in every way.
Just came out of nowhere. It's like, what the heck? Was this guy done to earn this kind of deal?
Well, and he doesn't even you thought at that point, okay, he was gonna eventually play, and he just doesn't play. And when he does, he's awful. And yeah, I mean, how many deals do you think he's probably held us back from? Thank God we got that Michael Porter Jr. off the books, but good Lord, yeah, it's same thing with Troutman, man. Like, it's not just about the contract. What is he going to prevent us from getting, whether this offseason or in the draft as well? And it's probably a lot of guys.
What's Troutman paying now? Like, is he 8 or 9? What was the contract?
He's at about $6 million.
6? Okay. Yeah, it's one of those that you're just like, I would have rather saw it, like the text come across Mike Kliss saying Troutman wanted north of 5.5, and they were like, "Are you crazy?" Instead of the Etienne, he wants 13 million. Are you crazy? That came across. Like exactly. That's the one where you're like, one of these makes sense, and one of them doesn't make as much sense.
Kodiak.
All right. Well, I guess we haven't had enough talk of our trash tight ends lately. And listen, I know that this guy signed for like a minimum contract, but Lucas Kroll, man. Okay. I looked up his like career stats on PFF, and this is real, by the way. 408 routes ran. All right. Only around 200 career yards, 3 catches on 3rd or 4th down. And he's supposed to be a receiving tight end, 0.64 yards per route run. So he is a receiving tight end. He's amongst the worst receiving tight ends in the league as far as like an efficiency per route basis. And I remember our first pass of the year went to Lucas Kroll, and I was sitting at the stadium, like all that talk I did about them in the offseason for their first pass of the year to go to Lucas Kroll. And the reason I'm upset with bringing guys like Jaleel and Kroll back is because, David, you said it yourself. When you're in this window, you need to churn over the bottom parts of your roster. You need to churn over the bottom parts. You need to go, hey, maybe there's a reasonable tight end for upgrade out there that hasn't been signed by a different team. But Lucas Kroll, he just adds nothing to this team. He's a nothing burger. He plays too much. I don't care what Cecil Lammey wants to go out there and say. Lucas Kroll is just a nothing burger. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't block. He's played like 70 run plays in his whole career. He's played like 450 passing plays in his whole career. So the defense knows exactly what's coming when he's on the field. And I'm just really, really pissed off that they actively rewarded a guy who did absolutely nothing to deserve it. I think Troutman did a little bit more to deserve his extension, not by much, than Lucas Kroll did to deserve coming back on our team. Like, once again, I just don't think Lucas Kroll should have seen the new building, if that makes sense. I don't think he was one of those guys that deserved to be on Will Lutz's list and Alex Singleton's list that were going to see the new building, because he did fuck all. Sorry if you guys get an email from YouTube because I said that.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I don't read them anyways. So, yeah.
Goalie change.
Wonderfully said. Wonderfully said about Lucas Kroll. And, Mike's coming in here. Thanks for coming in, Mike. He's always in here. And Dave Njoku, thoughts? There's been a little bit of rumor, a little bit of talk about him today. Does Adam Troutman kind of trump bringing a guy in here like David Njoku? Or do you think there's still room to bring in a tight end of that caliber? Anyone?
I personally think there's room. Like, to me, it's like the reason why you didn't try to sign people on day one is because you wanted the prices to go down. Like, it's been a little bit now. Prices probably have gone down. So if you can get him at we shouldn't have signed, we should have probably signed him on day one and Troutman and later on. If you're going to do it that way, you shouldn't have paid Troutman day one and hope to get a deal on Njoku. But hey, if it turns out, I mean, I want to draft one too, if not maybe two guys, but yeah, that can be an upgrade immediately for sure. And if you can get him for a good deal, I would do it.
Yeah. I think that if Troutman, if your front office genuinely thinks that like, oh, we signed Troutman, so therefore we don't have to sign X player, I don't really care who the player is, then nobody in the entire front office deserves to have a job.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion. Like there's just it's crazy to think. So I think it's a big possibility. I think that I think Njoku would be cool, but I'm so exhausted from even having hope that I don't know, man. I think that I'll see. It's one of those where like I'll see it when I believe it. I don't think we make a move at tight end though, in the free agency at least.
Yeah, I'm losing hope by that, by the day, no doubt about it. Now, I do find it interesting that, for as much as we devote our content on YouTube to hating on Alex Singleton, he's not any of y'all's most hated re-signing.
It's not mine.
I'm curious why.
I hate Kroll and Troutman more.
That's right. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like he wins because he's not the least popular, like the least unpopular, whatever. It's just like those ones made zero sense. Singleton, we hoped it didn't, but like it made sense though. Those ones didn't make any. Well, if you could sign Troutman for like the minimum or something, then I would have been like, okay, but you shouldn't have gave him a promotion or like, a raise. And can you put Isaiah Savage's comment back on there? I just wanted to address this real quick. This is true, but also like we signed those guys the year before Super Bowl 50, not the year of Super Bowl 50. And the reason why we signed those guys in the first place is because John Elway signed Peyton Manning. So they were coming in to be on a team with Peyton Manning. You don't sign those guys if we don't have Peyton Manning. So you like needed multiple dominoes for that statement to be true. saying we won it because of free agency is true, but like it's not a 1-for-1. Like that's not the situation we're in. So just wanted to point that out.
Yeah. No, agreed. But what were we just talking about before that?
Why Alex
Singleton
isn't your most hated
Singleton
re-signing? Yeah.
Yeah, I think with Singleton, man, like I've kind of come to the terms of where, like, okay, well, first of all, this defense has proven that they can still be like a top 3 unit with Singleton. So, like, what the floor is at least. I mean, they can still be really successful with him. And I mean, to his credit, like he made big plays in big games this year. I mean, especially like in the playoffs. Obviously, I think we all wanted like an upgrade there, but you definitely could do like significantly worse than that. I think the reason it was so frustrating is because you're just like, oh, we're going to run it back with the same inside linebacker room again. But at least you can say, okay, Alex Singleton brings this on the field in terms of production, like he produces in some areas for sure. Troutman doesn't do any of that. And I feel like, and obviously this is probably not the case because I don't think Sean would just do, make the signing just because he likes Troutman. But like, I feel like you can tell that Alex Singleton's, like his teammates love him. Like you can tell that they genuinely love him. I don't really know if anyone cares about Troutman or not. Like, I don't think he has nearly the impact in that locker room as Singleton does. But obviously it's different. I mean, because they still appreciate the kind of work. Like, I mean, Troutman still plays a lot. Like he has a really shitty job if you think about it, in a sense of like from a football standpoint. Like all he's doing all the time is blocking like big dudes, and it's he's doing a lot of the dirty work. Whether he's doing it good or bad is obviously a different discussion. But I mean, that could warrant some respect. But I feel like Singleton's got just way more love and respect in that locker room than Troutman does too. But yeah,
but Troutman go ahead.
No, I was gonna say there's been so many bad re-signings and like obviously zero external signings to the point where like I don't even like think negatively on the Singleton move anymore.
That's amazing.
Like it's like everything else has been so bad, it just kind of makes it be like, all right, like it's cool, whatever. I guess we'll run it back and figure it out.
I will say Troutman for the locker room type of thing is he has been the guy who's like stepped in and like said to the media, like defended Bo on bad games or bad moments or whatever. He has done some of that. So I think that they do like him and they do respect him. But it was like the comments about himself after the signing that was annoying. But like throughout the season, he has been kind of a good like leader up into that point. It just does his play actually warrant a raise? And I didn't think so.
Well said. Okay, well, I'll get to mine. My most hated, and mine is not Alex Singleton for the reasons that y'all laid out, especially with just seeing who else brought back. It's just, it's like none of them are great, but there are ones that are just more frustrating. And similar to how you have frustration with the tight end room just bringing back, it's not even mediocrity. It's like bringing back below average, fringe NFL players back to compete for spots on this roster. It's just, I think it's an insult to the rest of the guys on the team with like where we're at. That's how I feel right now, bringing back Tyler Bidet and Jaleel McLaughlin. I'm going to go with Jaleel McLaughlin because we did not tender him. And I believe Tyler Bidet was like an ERFA. So, yeah, it's not that big of a deal bringing him back. But with Jaleel, I mean, he's been around how many years for us now? Like 3-4 years. And, yeah, I'll look this up. He's supposed to be this guy that can, like, run really well. And, yeah, he had, like, 5 yards a carry this year. But he doesn't give you any breakaway plays. He doesn't give you any big chunk plays. And I would much rather, this is just my preference with running backs, I'll take the guy running into the hole for a couple yards, time after time, and then resulting in a 50-yard run. I just like those big chunk plays that you can get. The breakaway run rate was at like 14% this year. J.K. Dobbins was over 10% higher. Or RJ Harvey's. J.K. Dobbins was damn near 34%. Combine that with he dropped 2 out of his 7 targets. I just don't think he's a very good player at all. And you've seen guys like Rashad White. What he signed for? Was it $1.2 million?
It was 1 year, $2 million.
$2 million. Insane. But all of these running backs I'm about to name, I would rather have competing for a 3rd or 4th running back spot on this roster than Jaleel McLaughlin. And I'm just going to read through them all. Joe Mixon, Michael Carter, Brian Robinson, Najee Harris, washed Austin Eckler, Jeremy McNichols, Kareem Hunt, hurt Miles Sanders. Yes, Travis Homer, Alexander Madison, Hassan Haskins, Ty Chandler, Nick Chubb, Raheem Mostert, Antonio Gibson, Dare Ogunbowale, AJ Dillon. I mean,
I agree. Basically everybody.
Yeah.
Like I just named off like 10, 15 running backs right now that you could bring in for what you signed him back for. And I think they add more to this room and more dynamicism to this room than what Jaleel McLaughlin does. So again, hopefully McLaughlin just isn't even a factor on this roster because we go and get somebody like Jonah Coleman or, Nick Singleton, something like that. That'd be cool. But it is frustrating right now that, he is holding a good spot on the roster right now.
Yeah, no, 100%. And once again, like Lucas Kroll, that's part of my frustration is that in this window, you need to be turning over, the areas that weren't good enough. And Jaleel McLaughlin, we have a 3-year sample size of him. And this past year, he was inactive for half the year. So the only reason he was active was because JK got hurt. Now, once again, you do need to plan your running back depth accordingly. And I feel like they just didn't do that. All right. Jaleel had legit juice in like the first 5-6 games of his rookie year, but that's honestly kind of gone out the window. And he also failed to capture the backfield in 2024 when he was behind a struggling Javonte and a struggling Estime during his rookie year too. So he's had his fair share of opportunities. And once again, it was one of those, even if he goes somewhere and balls out, I'm just like, okay, cool. It wasn't going to work here. But we have a 3-year sample size of it not working here. So once again, we can't use the phrase run it back because that excuses laziness, in my opinion. And this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this is a good comment right here from Aaron saying, hey, but Jaleel's, in the facility at 5 a.m. It's like, do we just bring him back because we like the vibe he gives the team rather than like what he brings to the play? Like, I understand bringing back Alex Singleton, he's a captain, like you guys brought up. But bringing back fringe roster guys because of their character, I just don't understand it. Rodney saying, why didn't we pursue Chris Rodriguez before the Jags scooped him up? It almost makes me feel like we didn't even try outside of ETN. We didn't even try to contact any of these running backs to replace a guy like Tyler Bidet or Jaleel McLaughlin. And I think like that's what's frustrating too.
Yep.
Do you think what that told me though was like they are comfortable with something. And to me, it seems like they have I think there's maybe 3 or more guys in the draft that they're like, we like these guys. Dobbins is the main priority to get back. Obviously the contract with that. Yeah. You split that with RJ Harvey and you pretty much have the main part of your room back. Now, if you can bring a third option in high in the draft, who you like, let's say you like Price, Washington, and Coleman, and you're like, okay, we think we can get one of these guys. Now, also maybe you like somebody late, or maybe like a UDFA or like a an unsigned guy, and then go have them compete with Jaleel, and Jaleel will work hard and maybe push them. So I don't know. Maybe to me, like that's the thinking. Like we just sit here like a month before and we're just like, I don't like this move. I don't like this move on, in a vacuum. Yeah. I don't love it. But like, I think they're thinking like down the road of like, this is back burner moves and these are competition moves. And we're looking at it like more than that. And in their heads, they're like, no, these are just guys we want in here to set a competitive tone and might not be on the team. I don't know. Hopefully. Well, I'm trying to be optimistic.
No, I appreciate your optimism. The only thing that I keep going back to with this is I feel like they just use familiarity as an excuse for their lack of aggression. Okay. There's no way that after the draft this last year that Ingram and Harvey were the only two running backs and tight ends of note that you should have added. And they weren't even, the problem for me is they weren't even aggressive in the UDFA pool at those positions too, which was, kind of baffling to me. And there were some solid, interesting guys out there for the team.
We didn't even sign one.
Yeah, we didn't even sign one. So like, once again, it's not about like, okay, yeah, Troutman prevents you from doing certain things too. But I feel like Jaleel also prevented them from doing certain things in the past. I feel like, just relying on these guys like Kroll, it prevented them from doing those things, last draft cycle. So that's where I'm just a little skeptical. Like, obviously, I can imagine they're going to take one in the draft. I imagine it's going to be high. But once again, at the positions you're weak at, I don't need like 7 offensive linemen, okay, to compete for a spot. I need guys that can, be quick to adapt, and that's what the running back position is. Now, obviously, once again, it's not just plug and play. No position in the NFL is, but it's the most reliant on other factors. So I would like at least some interesting guys in the UDFA Hall this year.
Well said.
Yeah,
well said. Before we get into our moves looking forward, there's some good comments here I want to touch on. This one's really great from Alvin. Thanks for tuning in. He says, almost all the media, all you guys are tripping, panicking. Do you remember where the Broncos were 3 years ago? Come on now. And I understand the sentiment, Alvin. It's like, maybe they deserve the benefit of the doubt. But I'll say, at least for myself, and you guys chime in if you feel differently or whatever. We've seen the Broncos, I think, be pretty aggressive given their cap circumstances, since Sean Payton has been here to try and really improve the level of talent on this roster. Some of that has happened in free agency. Some of it has happened in the draft. But again, now we're at unprecedented, like this has never happened in the modern NFL type of lack of movement. It does just make you wonder, are they too comfortable with a roster that at the end of the day didn't get it done? And so I won't say that I'm panicking. I think that's the wrong word, Alvin. I think I'm more just frustrated with the complacency that in order to win a championship, you need 53 players that can all contribute. And I think like I'm a little worried or concerned that some of the guys that will be on this 53 are guys that have had 3 years to prove if they can contribute, and they've shown they're not able to.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Another thing I would add to that, man, is I mean, at this point, like, okay, it's important to not forget that we were so bad for so long and when we were 3 years ago. I mean, that's always a cool story, but it really doesn't matter at this point. Expectations changed. Kudos to George and Sean Payton and this ownership group for getting it to the point where now expectations have changed, because before it was like this was the norm in Broncos country. So we're just getting back to where it's always been. There's always expectations for my entire upbringing were always Broncos are going to go, they're going to compete. They had, more Super Bowl appearances than they did losing seasons for the longest time. We were one of the most respected franchises. So, okay, cool. We're back to where we are supposed to be. Expectations are not the same now. The expectation is to win a Super Bowl. The window is wide open. These last couple of years have proved that, especially this past year. So, where we were 3 years ago is completely irrelevant. In fact, it should make us want to have even more of a sense of urgency. And again, it's not like we're asking for a entire revamp of a team and all these splash moves. We're just asking for a couple guys. Raise the ceiling of some of the room. Bring in some competition to make these guys better. rather than just sit on your hands. And like you said, it's unprecedented, man. Like it's never happened. So there's no example you can look at and say, well, this team, didn't make a lot of moves, or all the you can use all these examples, like all these franchises that won the Super Bowl weren't really aggressive or didn't make a lot of moves in free agency. And I'll say, yeah, you're right. We make 0 moves. That's never happened. Like nothing. And this team's gotten worse. It's very, very easy to make the argument. Obviously, the best free agent that we had, we decided to bring back all the bad ones, but we didn't want to sign the best one in John Franklin Myers, which that's still baffling. Because if that's your offseason plan, at least sign the best one that you have first, and make sure you
the
get
cap space opened up to do it right now.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, but you can't pay $22 million for a guy who plays 40% of the snaps. You just can't do that.
No.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying, and I still understand why the Broncos didn't do that. But my whole thing is, like, if that's your plan, which is why I don't, and we can get into this, I don't believe this was really a part of the Broncos' plan the whole time. I think that they dropped the ball on a few deals. I think that they mismanaged the market a lot of the times, and now they're kind of just reassessing, and they're going to try to like put some trade together or something and make it seem like that was the plan the whole time. But there's no way you can convince me that the lack of moves that they've made was the plan the whole time. I don't believe it. It makes 0 sense. I just think that they got outsmarted this time for whatever reason. Sometimes it happens, I guess. It's inexcusable, but that's kind of where I'm at. I don't think any of this was part of the plan. Because again, you could sit there and say, if that's really a part of the plan, why wouldn't you pay John Franklin Myers? I mean, even though it was a lot of money, I mean, you're bringing back somebody that you know is really, really good. You felt like Alex Singleton is really good. Justin Sternad, you brought those guys back. So, it's all funny money.
If a trade was part of the original plan, why didn't you do the trade yet?
Well, I think so. Here's kind of my 2 cents. And I'm curious what you guys think. I think the big gem prize free agent possession that this front office really felt like good at getting was Breece Hall. I think that's who they really locked in. They said everything is working towards that. Like, he maybe doesn't want to be there. The Jets might be rebuilding. Obviously, they knew Muji, and so they wanted to be aggressive there. And they realized, okay, well, he's just gonna get tagged, and that whole situation didn't go the way that it was. And maybe it still does. Like, I feel like if any trade does end up happening, it might really be that one. But when that didn't happen, they kicked the tires a little bit on ETN. I don't think that they were really that into him. I mean, at the right, like, anytime you say they wanted him at a certain price, they're not really that into you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like if a team doesn't move up in the draft for a quarterback, but they settle and they take him at 15, they didn't really love him, because if they loved him, they would have moved up and ensured that they got him instead of just had him fall in their lap. It's kind of the same concept. So I think that they were kind of curious about ETN. Didn't work out, and then that was it. And they were like, oh, damn, like, the market's a lot more expensive than we thought it was going to be. Maybe we should just re-sign our guys now, because we don't want them to get more expensive, and then we'll just figure it out. That's literally what I think happened.
I feel like they were very, like, they didn't like this free agent class that much. I didn't think this was a great free agent class anyways. I think they liked some certain guys, and those guys were basically, there's 32 teams all in the same boat of, like, there was more demand than there was, supply, and people went higher than they were comfortable paying them. And they were like, we want to stay disciplined to how much we pay certain people. And even our own guys got paid, in our opinion, a little too much. So I just think that they, like, stuck to their beliefs on what it was. And they're like, well, I think you're more desperate if you're like, we have to sign somebody and I don't care what it costs. I think that's an easy thing to do, but, like, I just think that they were more, disciplined with that. And I think they're on to plan C. I think plan A was maybe sign certain guys. Didn't happen. They were too expensive, or they got tagged, or whatever happened. Plan C, I think, is we're going to move some money around and we're going to try to, like, go after people with trades during the draft. And I think that could happen for sure. But I don't think, like I've said this before, but, like, Sean is very specific with the type of guys he wants. It's not just talent that's available. And so I just don't think that they're into it as much as everybody else. People just look at talent and go, oh, we want this guy is better than this guy, so let's get him. And I just think they calculate a lot more into that.
Yeah.
But there's no way they're moving all this money around for no reason. Like,
Yeah.
There just isn't.
Yeah.
It might not happen, but they are trying to do something, I think.
Yeah. Although one of the things I will say is if they truly thought that this free agency class was weak, then their assessment of it was basically different than everybody else's. Because what did we hear about? We heard, wow, this is going to be a hot inside linebacker market. We heard, wow, there's a bunch of names on the tight end market that are interesting. So if the Broncos truly felt that way about this free agency class, and we're just like, well, it's a weak class, like, all right, I get not going out there and getting like Shaheed or Alec Pierce or all that. But what I can't respect is all these upgrades being there for minimal cost, like Chanel, like Kohler, and then you just standing pat and doing absolutely nothing. That's the part. That's the part that I think, I think that's what gets us. And once again, even if you don't get those guys, maybe those guys, I get signing with a certain team is not just about who throws you the most money. It's about, where you're going to spend the next few years of your life. But, once again, if that truly was the plan, then I'm just like, I don't know. Then don't re-sign your own scrubs, because Luka Evans put out that thing on Twitter today that says the Broncos were willing to go $6 million a year at tight end. And you know what Sean Payton said? When you only allocate a certain amount to renovating your home, then your options are going to be limited. So there you go.
Yeah. And when you look at the Dave Montgomery trade, when did the Broncos get in on it? They got in on it after the deal was announced that he was going to Houston for a 5th-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't proactive about this at all. They got in the discussion from a reactionary standpoint, saying, hey, we can increase a better offer. Why is George Payton saying he's calling around for value for everybody, but is caught in a reactionary position when it comes to Dave Montgomery? Again, something ain't adding up.
Yeah.
But, to transition, Aqib Talib today on the Arena said the Broncos are getting a playmaker. They're going to bring in an explosive weapon. And Denver Trav coming in here trying to rain on our parade. I'm just kidding. Guys, go subscribe to him. He says Jawan Jennings is the player Talib is talking about. Dave, how mad would Broncos country be if he's the explosive playmaker? Honestly, I'll take anything right now. So Jawan Jennings, that's great. But it seems like Talib is pretty confident the Broncos are going to be making a move. Let's Mark, if I can put you on the spot, let's get into, in the title, I put 4 moves, but that's really just us 4 talking about how to do this thing. But what moves are you making to fix this offseason for the Broncos?
I would say you've got to do what you can to get Waddle from Miami. He just makes the most sense. We know the Broncos were interested in him. Miami's completely redoing, their roster. They're taking on all this dead cap. Maybe you could say, hey, we'll help you offset some of the dead money, or we'll eat it, whatever it might be, in order to help out. You easily can do it. And they're primed in a position where they can, like, because of where they're drafting. Let's say we gave up pick number 30. They have 2 first-round picks. They could easily use one of those picks on one of these receivers early on in the draft, and then have some flexibility at 30. To be able to still have ample weapons around Malik Willis. But, I mean, that's what I would do. I think Jalen Waddle is exactly the type of explosive receiver this Broncos team needs. The more I was thinking about it, I think we got so caught up in, like, the type of receivers that Sean likes, right? We always talk about, like, he really likes the big body receivers and the Cortland Sutton or the Pat Bryant types. But I don't think that matches the best with what Bo wants to do. And maybe Davis Webb realizes that. Like, Bo wants to get the ball out of his hands quickly to guys in space, accurate in rhythm, and guys can get going. And he fits really well with somebody like a Jalen Waddle. That's why I liked Wan'Dale Robinson. I know he ended up making a whole lot more money than he probably should have, but good for him. but that's the kind of explosive playmaker. So I would do whatever possible to go after Jalen Waddle. That's how I would salvage.
And you're not concerned by the fact he wants to fight Pat Surtain, are you?
No, because him and Pat Surtain are really good friends. I know that because I listen to Pat Surtain's podcast all the time. Him and all the Alabama guys are really close, and they're always giving each other a hard time. So I'm sure that's why he chose Pat Surtain, because he's just like, messing with it. And maybe he was thinking about Pat because he was thinking about Denver and he wants to come play here.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, by no means do I think that there's any beef. I think it was all funny, especially because even Pastor Tan was like, he tweeted him back of like, you got a little bit too much dip on your chip or something like that. So they're just messing with each other. And man, if that's what it takes, if it takes for them to get into a boxing match for him to come here, cool. I'll gladly pay for tickets to go watch that, and you can start paying back the contract.
So it's going to be a big play receiver. Mark is saying you trade for Waddle. Let's go to Jeremy. What's the move you do to have this offseason be a net positive for the Broncos?
The move I would do is a couple of draft day trades. I would trade back from 30 and trade up from 62 and land a couple guys in that middle second in the 40 somewhere.
Okay.
I'll throw out some names. Mike Washington, Jadarian Price, Jacob Rodriguez, Chris Bell. There's some playmakers to be had in that Stowers, maybe. There's some guys to be had in that middle second that I feel like that's the sweet spot for us, where I don't want to reach at somebody for 30 and I don't want to like get sniped at 62. So to me, if we can move around and just get two of the guys that we can circle in that area, I think honestly, the running back room can look so much better, in my opinion, if you had Price, Washington, Coleman. I think the wide receivers can look better. I think linebacker can look way better. So that would salvage it for me. That would make all of my fears of like why we didn't sign certain people a lot better. And our future would look good too. All those guys on rookie contracts. So that would be it for me.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we got a big trade for wide receiver. We got some draft day moves. Kodiak, where are you going with this?
Well, I'm sticking with the draft, and obviously, we signed Singleton and Troutman, obviously, to their extensions. But I think the way you salvage this offseason is give me hope that these guys are not going to be back next year. Okay, I'm talking about 2027. Okay, make some moves, whether it's at tight end or inside linebacker. I don't care how they come. I don't care if it's via trade. I don't care if it's via the draft. But I think our smartest outlet right now is probably the draft, because, if you trade for an off-ball linebacker or you trade for a team that actively is deploying a inline tight end a lot of the time, then straight up, it's just not going to be worth it. So, yeah, I think the best avenue for that is going to be the draft. Now, there are two positions, in my opinion, that you cannot take high during the draft. Quarterback, and edge. All right, anything else is fair game. That being said, I like Jeremy's idea of trading back. Okay. I like the idea of, hey, maybe let's get by some miracle, if Jacob Rodriguez is able to fall in the second round. Definitely not going to happen at this point, I don't think, but you never know. So, maybe you take an off-ball linebacker, maybe you take a tight end in that range, maybe you take a running back, and that'll at least give me hope that we have succession plans in place, because currently we don't have a linebacker 3 on this roster. And obviously they're probably going to, sign a guy. And, I think maybe part of the plan all along was for them to sign a guy and then have Singleton, coach him up, mentor him or whatever. And yeah, honestly, I don't hate that idea. I think there's better ideas out there than re-signing your biggest liability. But once again, there are a lot of ways for this team to improve. So yes, just get legitimate succession plans. If we were to get a guy, get these high upside guys, man. If we were to get a guy like Justin Jolie, I'd be pumped. Man, because at least that gives me hope that, I know that his skill set may not be, completely aligned with Troutman's, but that'll at least give me hope that we can move on from Troutman in 2027. And who knows what this upcoming offseason looks like. But yeah, just give me hope that all these horrible players that you re-signed give me hope that there is a succession plan there. Give me hope that there's competition. Okay. Maybe take 2 running backs. All right. Maybe take a guy in the 6th round like Damon Claiborne if he's there to compete with Joel McLaughlin. I don't know. That's just my line of thinking.
I'm down with it.
I love it. I'm going to take a different approach here. You guys have been talking about all these big moves. I guess I will kind of double down sort of on the video I did yesterday. Just a few small moves that I think could make me very happy in this. Without making a big move. But we better trade for Waddle. Let me just say that. The 30th overall pick, is that too rich for somebody like Jalen Waddle? I don't think so. To me, they say what? There's 15 first-round graded people in this draft. You're basically trading for a second-round talent, or you're basically drafting a second-round talent at pick 30 anyways. So, I mean, heck, Jeremy, you brought up the idea of trading back. That would be awesome. And then trading up from 62. But yeah, if you can trade pick 30 for Jalen Waddle, I think I would do that. I wouldn't trade a top 15 pick for him, but I would definitely do that. If we can't trade up and go get somebody like Jordan Tyson, if we hadn't trade for Waddle by then, you try and do that. But here are the moves that I would like in the third wave of free agency for the Broncos to fill out their roster. Some of these guys I didn't talk about yesterday. On the defensive line, Detroit Lions defensive tackle DJ Reader. Now, he had no sacks last year, but that's okay. He's a guy that can play nose tackle, and he can kick out to that 3-4 defensive end position. I like him. I think he would be great. Kodiak, you brought up the idea of Cam Jordan. You put out a great video on that. I'm a little unsure of if he can make that transition to playing a little bit more inside, but I'm open to it. But DJ Reader, I think, could slide into that position pretty naturally, and we got the cap space to bring him in. Mark, you've sold me on Brian Robinson Jr. If we can have him as like our 4th running back, that would be fantastic with a draft pick, RJ Harvey, and J.K. Dobbins. That's a group of 4 that you feel really great about.
Oh, yeah.
High draft pick, Brian Robinson, those guys. So you bring in DJ Reader, you sign Brian Robinson, and at wide receiver, Stephon Diggs, man. Stephon Diggs, you bring him in. If you can't get any of these wide receivers, he's the fallback plan. He's the fallback plan. You could probably sign him to a deal around $15 million this year. 1-year deal. Prove it. You can cut him if he's a mess. So that's my plan. Boom. There we go.
I was good with your first 2, but you just absolutely killed me with the Diggs with the Stephon for $15 million too. The 1 year,
he signed a deal for like 20 plus last year with New England.
Yeah, it was a 1 year. It was like 1 year if it was guaranteed. No, I mean, I get he might get something like that, but
what about Tim Patrick? I brought that up in my video yesterday. Would y'all welcome Tim Patrick back to the Broncos?
I'd welcome him back. I wouldn't be like,
I wouldn't trade for him, but yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be stoked.
He's a free agent.
I mean, I wouldn't be stoked about it because once again, I mean, he got cut before the 2024 season began after a great preseason.
I know. Well, Lil Jordan Humphrey made the roster over him.
That's true.
I would rather have him playing big slot than Lil Jordan.
Me too. You know who's going to play big slot this year, though? Pat Bryant. I think he wants to be deployed as a power slot, but I think I'm on board with the idea of like a outside, like do it all, like kind of do the dirty work transition. Tim Patrick into that style of receiver. I'm open to that idea, but there is no way that after how this offseason went, that the fan base would be on board with that at all after us going back to the well of familiarity and being like, Tim Patrick, who we cut a year and a half ago, is back.
Yeah, we cut him when he was showing promise, and we brought him back when he's like a much older player and done nothing. That would be like, that would be the cherry on top. I don't know if anyone else has any comments, but I did think about this, and the more I think about it, like I'm like, dude, this just maybe makes too much sense, and maybe you guys should like talk me off of a ledge, or like I'm just not in the right spot. But I feel like we just need to have Lil Jordan Humphrey transition to tight end full time.
I've already been there.
It was talked about early in his career when he was with New England. He's already like 230 pounds. You know, you look at guys, people want Eli Stowers, which I get, right? There's a lot of these guys that come in, they're basically big wide receivers. And the thing about Lil Jordan, to his credit, he's legitimately a very, very good blocker. Like he's in my opinion, a much better blocker than Adam Troutman. I get that he doesn't go up against linemen as much as Troutman does, but I feel like someone like that would make a whole lot of sense in the tight end. It's not like our tight end room is just gushing with talent, and it could still open up, you know, some room for development on the wide receiver side. Sean can still have his best friend, and I'm like, why the hell not? Worst case scenario, he could just continue in whatever wide receiver role he's in for the team. But what are your thoughts on Lil Jordan Humphrey, like being a full-time tight end? Say, dude, just gain 10 pounds
Yes.
this offseason.
He's already so much better than Lucas Kroll, right?
Well, exactly my point. Exactly. That's another perfect example. Like he could easily take Lucas Kroll's position, in my opinion.
Well, that wouldn't be hard to do because he's a receiving tight end that doesn't receive.
Yeah.
And Lil Jordan Humphrey can actually run. You know what? I'm on board with it. I'm on board with basically anything that would free up a roster spot for a receiver. And then you can draft one of these promising guys in the draft. You know, maybe Bryce Lance, you know, he's one of the guys that I've talked about me fitting really well with this team. Maybe he falls to you, I don't know, in the 4th round because of, you know, his production profile. So I don't know. You know what? That is interesting to me. But yeah, no, I'm on board with it. Like if he were to be listed in the tight end depth chart, honestly, I might be happier with that than me seeing him at the receiver depth chart, if I'm being honest.
Yep. No, I agree. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. Jeremy, what do you think?
Yeah, I've already been there. I've already thought of that. Just because to me, it's like you're right. He's a better blocker than he is than the tight ends we have, really. And it's just if he could make that transition. I know tight end has like basically 2 different jobs to do, and that's a little more. And he's a really, I mean, he'd be a really good receiver. But let's be honest, Shannon Sharp was a wide receiver that played tight end. Like that's what he was in his whole entire career for the most part. And it worked out pretty well. So I could see that. Let me throw you guys a scenario just and see if maybe I'm wrong, but like, I just want to get your take on, I'm going to give you, this would require our 1st round pick and probably a hefty contract. Which one of these 3 guys would you be willing to do this for, or none? And let's say all 3 of these guys are available for your 1st round pick, your 30th pick, and you have to pay him. Breece Hall, Brian Thomas Jr., and who's the other one I was just thinking? Oh, now I've thought about it for too long and I forgot.
Garrett Wilson. No,
no, it was. I mean, it was.
Was it a tight end?
It probably.
Yeah, because I haven't. Arizona.
Was it Sam Laporta?
No, it wasn't Laporta. But all right, I'll give you those 2. It was somebody. Damn. Now I forgot who it was. Yeah, I'll let me think about it. It was somebody we were just talking about, but.
Oh, George Pickens.
No, it wasn't Pickens, and it definitely wasn't Diggs.
Waddle.
It was I wanted Thomas instead of Waddle personally.
Oh, okay.
But would you rather have Waddle? I guess you can throw Waddle in there. Who would you rather have out of those 3? Go Hall, Waddle, or Thomas?
And we're giving pick 30 for this guy, right?
But yeah, you're giving up your 1st round pick, and you have to pay this person.
Okay, well, no way I am giving number 30 with the contract to Breece Hall when I can just draft a guy there that would probably, you know, give us, you know, what we are looking for and be younger than Breece Hall. So no way I'm doing that. But BTJ, man, you know, if that's all it took, I would love BTJ here in Denver because obviously you saw the explosiveness at the end of 2024. Didn't really seem to mesh well with Cohen. Like, I don't know, the 2 guys that really ramped up this year in Washington seemed to be Jacoby Myers and Parker Washington in Jacksonville, and Travis Hunter also kind of had a weird arc as well. So maybe Liam Cohen's in his Sean Payton era where he needs a very specific style of guy. But yeah, no, BTJ gives you the best upside. You know, he's still on that rookie deal. He's still the youngest out of all of them. I'd be very, very intrigued. You know, obviously there'd still be some questions that need to be answered about the horrible play he had last year. But you know what? Swing for the fences. Shoot for the fences. I'm not I'm not looking to hit a triple with Jalen Waddle. I'd be looking to hit a home run with BTJ.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with Kodiak on Brian Thomas. I just feel like, man, I know that last year was really disappointing for a lot of people, but dude, what I saw from that kid in his rookie year, I haven't forgotten. That dude was special, man. Like special as all hell. And I loved him coming out of LSU. So that would be the easy choice for me. And it's tough. I know you say like you have to pay him. Like what makes it even more intriguing with Brian Thomas Jr. is that you don't have to. In fact, you can't. You can't pay him until after the season, anyways. So that makes it even more intriguing because you just have him on his rookie contract and he's going to be cheap, anyways. But that would be awesome. Even though it would be there'd be a lot more clarity if you traded for Waddle because you know exactly how he'd fit in this wide receiver room. Whereas again, you're going to have the conversation of like, well, what do you do with Sutton if you bring in Brian Thomas Jr.? But again, yeah, I would do BTJ.
Yeah. Now I'll go with Waddle. He's got 3 seasons of 1,000 yards, of at least 1,000 yards. Just a little bit more proven. Obviously, though, when you put up almost 1,400 yards or whatever it was as a rookie, that's insane coming from BTJ. So, I mean, I would be cool with either of them. And, yeah, people might say, like, on the surface, BTJ for a first-round pick after the year he had, that's, like, way too rich. But as you've brought up, you don't even have to pay him right now. So that's part of it. Like, you're also paying for, like, a really low salary, a rookie scale deal. So you can sell me either way, but if I had to choose Jeremy, it's not Breece Hall, sadly, as much as I love him. I can't give up a first round pick for him. But I like Waddle. I like how you guys said he fits into the other pieces that we have really well. And he has a longer track record of production. So
all right, let me throw you this. Would you trade right now, even though this isn't necessarily somebody that a position of need, but it could be someone possibly available? I don't think this would ever happen because he's in our division. A first and a second for Max Crosby. Would you do it?
No, he's broken. He's broken. The Ravens sent him back because he's broken.
I think the Ravens reneged because they could get a cheaper Hutchinson.
They were like, ooh, or they had buyer's remorse. Okay, obviously, if he passes the physical with Denver, I would do that in an absolute heartbeat.
Yeah,
no question in my mind. I would absolutely. And we could probably just do like a first and one of the pass rushers. I'd be willing to do first in any one of the pass rushers that we have. I mean, dude, Max Crosby's one of the best football players in the NFL. He's unbelievably dominant. Yeah. That's I guess that's all I really have to add to that. But I would do that in a second.
What about you, Kodiak?
I wouldn't do that, man. I don't think I think our edge room is strong enough to, it's legitimately one of those things that we can be like, we like what we have, and the front office can't get clowned because we are deep there. Okay. The question is not, is Max Crosby better than everybody in our edge room? Because it's yes. He's one of the best defensive players in the league, but it's not worth, okay, the strength of your team is in the edge room and it's in the secondary. So it's not worth losing a year of potentially being able to build out the other areas of your team that suck. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. No,
opportunity cost is a thing.
Yeah. I think I would do it for what Mark says, because dude, here's how I would just visualize it. If we're in that same game next year, let's pray and hope. If let's say it's the AFC Championship all over again, and now you have Bo Nix and Max Crosby, and I just feel like that's the difference. I just feel like that would be the difference. I mean, I think Bo Nix would have been the difference in the AFC Championship. But let's say we go to the Super Bowl against a team like Seattle, and you need to put pressure on Sam Darnold. I trust Max Crosby going absolute just wild, like a Von Miller type of performance, than I do of Nick. No offense to Nick right now. Like, he's one of the best, but like, he's streaky. He'll get hot and then he'll disappear for 5 games. dude, I hate freaking playing Max Crosby. Like that dude just is, he just never ever stops. And so to me, it's like Von Miller again, dude. Like you just wind him up, let him go. Now that's all contingent on if he's healthy. You don't give up that kind of stuff if he's not, all that kind of stuff. But like, whew, I think I would do it for sure. The way he plays against us.
And people don't realize is he's by far, in a way, the best like run defending edge too. Like what he can do against the run is absolutely maniacal. Like the dude is out of his mind. So no one's going to be able to really run the ball very well against us either, which would be a big benefit.
And let me just say, it's not disrespect. I'm definitely not trying to disrespect Nick or Jonathan Cooper or any of that.
No,
it's just that I have that much respect for Max Crosby's game that I'm like, I would do it on top. I really love those guys. I love the contracts we gave them. I love that they're here. I love all that. But I just feel like he's one of those game breakers that can really move the needle.
Yeah,
Sean loves the hell out of him.
Trav's bringing up a good point here. That's why we need Cam Jordan. He's elite against the run. And here's the thing, Cody, I know you brought the idea of playing him a little bit in JFM's role, but I think, imagine a top 4 rotation with Cam Jordan, Jonah Ellis, Jonathan Cooper, Nick Bonito, man. Like, maybe you can send off Dondrea Tillman out there for a 6th round pick and future 6 or something like that, and then have Q Robinson as like that 5th edge. But that's a pretty exciting room, man. And it can sustain an injury or two and not miss a beat.
Yeah, 100%. And I know everybody's mad at Cooper for how he played in the back half of the year, and I don't entirely disagree. So I think, having a guy to stabilize the ship, if it did come to that, would be a really, really good thing. Because, I know a lot of people have brought up Von Miller. I just got to say, I'm just not on board with that, man. I understand that he has the leadership traits and he has the passion for the Broncos and everything, but with Von Miller, I just don't see him being able to, play a role that would be ideal for our team at this point.
Yeah. Well,
the only way I could see that is if he was somehow not in the league for a year and then we got to the playoffs and went down with some crazy injury. And then you're like, he's been out and it's just like a flyer, back end of the roster type of thing, but not, it just seems like
a Phillip Rivers type comeback.
Something like that. Who is the guard that we brought in? 2015? Evan Mathis type of move. Just Hail Mary, we just need somebody. He's sitting there that kind of a move, but not a day one of the, new season type of sign. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Well, guys, it is 9:10 p.m. Mountain Time. We should probably get shutting this thing down. Want to thank everybody, man, in the chat. Y'all were absolutely on fire today. Great conversation. And, man, I really hope, last week we hoped that we would have a signing to talk about. But maybe by next Monday we'll have a new player that we can break down so in depth and how they're going to help our special teams. Or, so, something like that. But appreciate the kind words. Real quick, Kodiak, Mark, y'all got anything going on your channel people can keep an eye out for and get excited for?
I'm posting a lot of short form content because the Broncos aren't giving me a ton of long form. So I don't know, just posting shorts. If you want something that's easy to watch and listen to, then head over to my page at Kodiak Broncos on YouTube or TikTok. It's always fun arguing with you guys in the TikTok comments. But I do want to congratulate Mr. David Talks because he has been really ramping it up the past week. Okay. I think you've gained a total of almost 200 subscribers since free agency began. So that's pretty good. That's a pretty dang good week for
Thank you.
him. So shout out to you, Mr. Talks.
Thank you. I'm out of my post flu, COVID, whatever slumber, and I'm back to the grind. So thank you. Mark, what do you got coming up? How many subscribers are you away from 2,000 now?
200 away, roughly.
Come on, y'all.
Yeah.
Get in the description. Subscribe.
That'll help me out if you guys to subscribe. Check the channel out. I want to get that goal hopefully before the draft. Dude, speaking of flu, COVID, I had flu and COVID, and I even tested positive for RSV this last week. And I've been sweating this entire show, still trying to get over it. So I'm just excited to get back into making some sort of content. But thanks to Kodiak for helping me out with that video that you sent for making shorts. So hopefully I'll have a lot more shorts coming out. But really want to, I'm going to start diving into a lot of draft stuff. I got a draft channel, NFL Mark Draft. I'll also put a lot of that content on my Marcky Sports Denver page. So talking a lot about drafts, mock drafts, film reviews, rankings, all that really fun stuff. And then maybe the Broncos will give us something to talk about aside from just the draft. So we'll see.
Nice. It's a good thing that you got sick this past week because the Avs are making me sick right now. 5 goals on 10 shots. Good Lord.
Who's the goaltender tonight?
It was it started Wedgwood, then they pulled him after like 5 shots, and now it's Blackwood.
And Blackwood's been the one that hasn't been that great, right?
Yeah. No, they've both been cheeks today.
Wow.
It's been awful.
Yeah,
Power play's been terrible. Everything's terrible.
Same with, at least the Avs still got their championship coach. I mean, the Nuggets, in retrospect, it's not looking great going with the first-time head coach with a championship window, man. It is, that's been rough sledding.
Yeah.
Watching all that. So, guys, thanks again for tuning in. Y'all have a wonderful evening. We'll be back next Monday. Go Broncos.
He's grabbed.